Howdy, partners. Howdy! Okay, so I just wanted to say some things before we get into this video. One, this is my very first video. This is my first time doing a voiceover. I've tried in the past, but I really don't like hearing my voice back, so I'm really nervous. Yeah, I'm not using anything professional or anything like fancy like that, so I don't know how good the video will be. I just really hope it provides good information and it helps you guys. Okay, second, yes, this is a tutorial, but you shouldn't copy. Yes, take inspo and get help, or learn how to do something like new, but do not trace in real life. It has happened to me before where someone has either stole my designs or literally kind of just copied like my style of making stuff. So don't do that. Don't steal my style or designs, obviously. The biggest thing for cosplay, in my opinion, is adding your own twist for it. Add your own twist. Yes, slay! And finally, third, oh my god, thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I low-key just started posting on YouTube like a few months ago, and the support you guys have is actually phenomenal, so thank you all so much. With that being said, I really hope this helps you guys. Here you guys are. Woo! So with all my cosplays, at least most of them, I get references from like in-game screenshots or like canon models, you know? And then I draw my own design that I'll be going off of. But like I said, sometimes, like, I've just started making Bonnie from Fnaf 1, but since I look at that man literally like every single day, for scientific reasons, obviously, I didn't need to like look at canon models or like draw a reference. If it's your character or something, or you just, you know, scientifically look at that character for important reasons, you don't need to do anything. But for most of my cosplays, I get references and then I draw a reference. And I personally go off my drawn reference because I do them very stylized. And once you got your reference, either created by you or you're going off canon models, I personally always start with the head. I've seen people start from like the bottom up to like the hands, middle, you know, do whatever you want. But for me, I start with the head. And in order to do that, you gotta start with the moving jaw base. Side note, if you aren't going to do a moving jaw, then you'll just skip this step. Like if you're just doing like a fursuit, you can even do like a FNAF head without a moving jaw. Skip this step. All right, so first up, you gotta get the materials. So here's a list of the materials. You gotta get your cross-stitching mesh, and I don't know what else to call it other than the sturdy kind. Like it's more sturdy. I say that because we'll be getting a different type of cross-stitching mesh later on. So for right now, get the more like sturdy sheets of it. Then you get screws, wire, elastic, frame hooks, and it's all held together with hot glue. And you can get all these supplies from craft stores like Michael's or Joann's. Some of these you can get from a hardware store or online. Now, onto the tutorial. So I already have a video about this already, but just a rundown to get your moving jaw base. You're going to cut up sturdy cross-stitching mesh strips. I do it like 2-inch widths, a little less than 2 inch. Then you're going to put one around your forehead, and then one to your forehead to the back of your head, and then one to ear. So you got like an X above your head. Then here in these pictures, I did it from the ear, but if you plan on wearing like headphones or have sensitive ears, me, you're going to put these strips a little before your ears, so, you know, it doesn't hurt your ears. At the end of those strips, the ones you just put like on your ears or in front of them, you're going to make little holes. Now, I personally use these little empty thread spools. I know not everyone has these, and that's just fine. And I'm almost out of them myself, so I'm going to be using screws from now on. Like I said, you can get these from a hardware store and just get like really small but like thick screws, or get thin, do whatever, man. Cosplay tip number 1 though, you don't have to buy everything. You can use stuff in your house. You know, if something in your house looks like you can use it in a cosplay, use it, because, you know, why not? Then you're going to make 2, to make it more sturdy, jaw pieces, glue them together and make like 1-inch strips, also 2, to make it more sturdy, and glue it to the jaw pieces, like vertically. You're going to get some wire pieces, like small little wire pieces, curve them and glue them into the holes of the mesh. Then you're going to get some longish strips of elastic and screw, yes, literally screw the frame hooks into the elastic. After you screw them, you're going to glue them, and then you're going to flip up the elastic to make sure it doesn't come out. Sometimes it might like unscrew because, you know, the glue like forms around it so it can screw out, but you can just screw it back in or re-glue it. So that's just fine. Now you have a cool moving jaw base, very slay, very cool. Also make sure you are trying this on to make sure it's comfy and it fits good. I always go for a little loose rather than a little tight. If you do grow and you make it too small, you won't be able to wear it anymore. So if you make it a little bigger, if you grow, then you can still fit into it. So I always, you know, preach to go a little bigger just so you can still wear it and everything will be slay and comfy and Now, once you got that base, we are going to start the actual base. You're going to measure your head like this, chin to middle of the head and around your forehead. You are going to add a few inches to around on the foam, like mark it on the foam. I personally use 1/2 inch foam for this. Oh yeah, the only material you're gonna need for the base is foam and hot glue. I use any foam from 1/2 inch to 1 inch to 3 inch foam. Literally, that's all you need. It's just foam. But yeah, you're going to add like 3 to 5 inches to be safe to the length. Mark it again, cut it out. Then we're going to be using the bucket head method, where you cut out curvy kind of triangles on the top and then glue them together to make it a bucket head, hence the name. Now you're going to put on the head, make sure it fits, and cut out some eye holes and mouth holes. Some people ask how I see out of the eyes. Some people do make it so they can see out of the mouth, but that you make the head a different way. I personally have never made a head where you see out of the mouth, so if you want to do that, you're gonna have to go to someone else or figure it out yourself, because I don't know that. Then once you're done with like the start of the base, then it's all up to you and how you do things. But you're going to make a snout. I use 3 inch foam to keep it easy, so you don't have to like use multiple slices, you know. Hollow it out so you can ventilate, so you can breathe, you know. Make sure you can see well and you can breathe well the whole time, because the worst thing in cosplay is, you know, going to a convention and you cannot breathe, all right? So do that. The order I personally do is the snout, then the cheeks, then the forehead, and then anything that needs to be done, like small spots that need extra chub, or, you know, something that needs to be smoothed out with foam, or just anything like that. Then I do the jaw and then the ears. Now before we go on to accessories and how we make them, here are some carving techniques that I use and I would heavily consider using. Carving technique number 1 is you take a little piece of foam, you cut the foam at an angle a few times and glue it down. It's very easy and I think it's the default way. And when you put the fabric on it, it looks very smooth. I use this one for edges and like non-layered foam. Carving technique number 2, it's like the same thing, but instead of just cutting it, you turn it around and then glue it. It takes a little bit more time, you know, for the glue to dry and could be a little bit harder, but you get a very smooth finish. I use this for more of the front of the face, like the cheeks and the snout. Carving technique number 3, you cut it at an angle, but like this. I don't know how to explain it, but like that. It takes a bit more time, but you get a good finish. And if you need like a drastic curve, like a deep curve or just a drastic curve, it's good. I use this technique usually for like the end of the cheeks or like the forehead. It's really good. I would definitely recommend all of these. I think all of them are really good. I personally use all of them. I think it gives the overall look of the head a very nice finish. And they're all very nice and easy and good to use, so use them. Yeah! And now that we got that out of the way, now we can move on to accessories. Whee! Starting with the eyes, they are made from like these half DIY ornaments that you can find on Amazon and cross-stitching mesh, but the flimsy version. You paint the eye however you want. I use your basic craft store paint because I'm cheap. Then before gluing the eye to the eye, I personally drill some small holes into the ornaments because if you wear this for a while, I found out the hard way that the eyes will fog up. Very fun. So if you have the little holes, the eyes will not fog up. It's very nice. The eyelids are made from EVA foam dry clay, also known as black or white magic. Side note, from this store, I bought several things from them, and they're very slay. I definitely recommend them. They're very nice, and the stuff is very, very good. The teeth, piercings, some noses, and any other small accessories are also made from the black/white magic. Other things I've used for accessories are EVA foam and craft foam, or things from a craft store, like Happy Frog's ball thing was a spray painted styrofoam ball. I've also made some small like hair clips or like little flowers from felt. You know, use whatever you want really. Now that you have your base and accessories drying or in a safe keeping, it's time for fabric. I use 2-inch and 1-inch Scotch tape. 2-inch for like most of the base, but like 1-inch for more detailed areas like the snout and the eyes. You're going to want to cover everything, unless you don't plan on covering that part, obviously. Now, with the taping done, you're going to mark it. I always do the patterns first. So for Bonnie, I drew the star and any other markings. Then after patterns or special marks, you mark where you're actually going to cut. I usually have a piece for the middle of the head, then the cheeks, snout, jaw, and ears. I also always mark any important info. So the ends of the head, you're going to add more. Mark it that you're going to add more. You know, just markings like that. Any important things, put on the tape. Then cut out all the tape once you marked it all. I place it off the table so it doesn't stick to anything. Then I place the fabric onto the tape. Side note, I usually go for felt or fleece. If I can't find the right color in any of those, then I go to find like cheap, soft fabric. I don't know the name, I just know that it's soft and cheap, so perfect. After you place the tape on your fabric, if you're confident enough, you don't need to mark it on the fabric, but I usually mark the fabric because my ADHD makes me forget to cut certain things, so yippee! Then once you cut your fabric, you sew, and sew, and sew some more. And finally, you guessed it, sew. I usually hand sew because I'm more confident in it, but I also machine sew for long seams or seams that I'm just too lazy to hand sew. I always hot glue my fabric onto the foam. I always glue the snout by itself, then the rest by itself. Then once they are glued, I use a ladder stitch to connect them. The reason I stitch them together after, you don't have to. Me personally, I just feel more comfortable that way. You can sew everything together if you'd like. I just personally like doing it my way because it's easier and it's less stress enduring for me. If you are going to do it that way, the way I do, add more length to the side and do not glue the edges where you're going to sew, because if you glue the fabric you're going to sew, it's just not possible. It's just really hard because the glue, you can't sew glue, so don't do that. Now with the fabric sewed, yippee! Once you got the fabric sewed, you can now add your accessories. I use hot glue for most, but super glue for teeth because every con I go to, the teeth fall out with hot glue. So either be really careful or use super glue. If you want to airbrush or paint it, go ahead. Foxy's head, I just painted and used my fingers to spread. I should have airbrushed his head, but oh well. For LEDs, I buy them off Amazon. I get the color changing, remote controlled battery pack fairy light thing. I carve out the cheeks from the inside, just one side, unless you have double lights. But I carved out the inside of the cheek and just slide the battery pack inside. I cut out so there's only 2 lights and then glue the lights to the pupils behind the eyes. Then I put the felt on the light so it's not blinding when you wear it. I just use black felt because yeah, if you don't put any fabric or anything behind the lights and you turn them on, you won't be able to see. So put something behind that. Now your head is finished. Wahoo! Yippee! The body is actually rather simple unless you're doing something like Glamrock Freddy unless you're doing something complex. For Foxy, his whole body was made from 1/2-inch foam. Then you cut the holes. Then you glue the fabric to the foam using hot glue. Then I airbrush the holes and withering areas. I buy a black full body morph suit. You can buy some at the Halloween store or online all year round. Oh yeah, I make my patterns like for the thighs and the booty. I just use saran wrap and tape. For the torso, I cut up an old shirt. And for everything else, I just kind of eye and measure everything. I cut off the hands from the morph suit and use them for the hands. Because, I hot glue the upper arms, shoulders, if there's any, thighs and pelvis parts to the morph suit. You can use Velcro or just slip on everything, but I glue everything. I glue those specific parts so they will not fall down. Everything else is slipped on, like you see in my suit up videos. The torso has a zipper. Oh, most of my heads also have zippers in the back to make putting them on more easier. So when you zip it, it's more to the head, which makes it look better. You don't have to do a zipper. And if you do it too tight, like if the head is too tight, you can just unzip it. So I like putting zippers in the back of my head if needed. Sometimes they don't need it. I don't know, do whatever you want. Foxy's legs and knees were EVA foam with some craft foam details and spray painted. Cosplay tip number 2. You can use googly eyes for easy bolts and screws, and then just paint them. They do sound a little silly. Like for Foxy, I used googly eyes for his bolts, and whenever I walk in him, he sounds like, you know, Son's bag, so that's fun. His feet and hands were foam covered in craft foam and spray painted. His hook was craft foam covered in felt with a handle inside and EVA foam. Also with his hook, the remote to control his eyes is inside the hood. I'm very proud of that. I think it's very cool and silly. Oh, his hook was also sanded from a drill. Now for Freddy, I used 1-inch foam all over. His and Bonnie's feet were made the same way. Foam feet covered in felt. The bottoms are EVA foam, and the leg warmer thingies are made from 1/2-inch foam covered in felt. Freddy and Bonnie's spiked bands were made from EVA foam and craft foam. The spikes for Freddy's and Bonnie's are these little circle things, then you cut triangles out, you glue them together, spray paint them, and super glue, because hot glue will make them fall off, they will not stick. For other things that I didn't know where to put, Freddy's microphone was EVA foam covered in craft foam, a sparkly craft foam, I really like it. The ball was a DIY ornament, spray painted, like the ones that you use for the eyes, just the bigger one, with a strip of craft foam around it. Bonnie's guitar, I had my awesome, lovely sister print it out. Go follow her. She printed out an accurate scale of Bonnie's guitar. My reference was literally the Funko Figures guitar, because it's just silly and nostalgic for me. And I traced it out onto EVA foam, and I hot glued together and spray painted afterwards. I don't think I have anything else to tutorialize, so there you are. I really, really, really hope this helps you guys and answers your guys' questions. I do apologize if you are still confused or you were expecting something cooler. I do plan on making more videos about tips and stuff on cosplay contests and con etiquette, but please let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see. Oh, follow my socials too. I'm a lot more active on my Instagram, so follow me there. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say other than I love each and every one of you guys. You guys are absolutely fabulous and filled with so much potential. Never give up on yourselves, because I'll never give up on you. I'm so proud of you guys. Oh my gosh, you guys are so awesome. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and slay! Bye! Oh my goodness. Okay, bye.